You are listening to the Home-Based Business Success Podcast on Spreaker and Spotify. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Ralph from growwithralph.com and also from the Home-Based Business Success Podcast here on Spreaker and also on Spotify. And later on next week, we're going to be branching out to a few other services. So lately on the Home-Based Business Success Podcast, we've been talking about the failure rate for online businesses and kind of looking at things from a negative perspective. But in any kind of business, being an entrepreneur of any kind, you have to learn to look at the odds, kind of laugh at the odds, and decide, hey, I am going to do this anyway, and I am going to be successful at doing this. You just have to have that kind of a mindset. And we can think of different people. Different people don't all have the same skills. Different people are not starting out at the same place in life. They don't have the same mindset. They don't have the same skills. They don't have the same attitudes. They don't have the same resources to work with. And when you're thinking about starting your own home-based business, I think it's wrong to compare yourself to somebody with a higher skill set than what you have, and also somebody that has a lower skill set than what you have, and think that those people represent the average or the norm. To illustrate the point I'm trying to make here, consider a guy, let's just call him Joe the Plumber or Joe Blow from Idaho. A person, average guy, average girl that just doesn't have a whole lot of specialty skills, and yet they want to get started in their own online business. Okay, are they going to have a great chance of success? Probably not. Now, if they're willing to learn a few skills, if they're willing to learn how to get into an online business, if they've got some good coaches, a good mentor, a good program that they can get into, that they can afford to get into, and that they're going to stick with, then their odds of success increase dramatically. But if they're just trying to get things started on their own and just trying to figure it out as they go with no guidance, and they've had no previous experience in network marketing or online marketing or social media marketing, and they don't have very good people skills or computer skills, then they're probably not going to do very well. They're probably going to be in that 90% failure rate that we talked about earlier. Now compare that to a guy like, let's just say Patrick Bet-David from the Valuetainment show. He is a successful serial entrepreneur, and I mean, he's got a superior skill set. Superior skill set to me. Superior skill set to a lot of folks out there now listening. And if Patrick Bet-David wanted to start a new online business, I would not give him only a 10% chance of making it. I would think that he would be prepared to clean up in that new business because he's got the right attitude. He's got the right skill set. He's the kind of a guy that is going to sit down, make a plan. What do I want to do? What is out there that I can do? If there's nothing out there that I can do, that's the way most of us tend to think. What programs are out there that I can buy into and take advantage of? You know, a guy like Patrick Bet-David might sit down and think, what kind of need is there out there in the world today, and how can I create a program that is going to address that need? And, I mean, he's the kind of a guy that is going to sit down, do the planning, and then, plan the work, and then work the plan. And then, of course, he's got all kinds of experience in being an entrepreneur. A lot of experience in being online, a lot of experience in podcasting, a lot of experience in creating videos and just entertaining people and giving them value while he's entertaining them. So I would give a guy like that a very, very, very high chance of succeeding in creating a new online business. But the neat thing about Patrick Bet-David, and why I like to listen to him, is that he wasn't always Patrick Bet-David. And by that I mean he wasn't always the Patrick Bet-David. He started out kind of like Joe Blow from Idaho or Joe the Plumber, probably with less skills than that. He tells this story, started out in Iran, moved to the United States with his family, poor kid, poor attitude. His dad worked in the dollar store and just had a completely different mindset than what he has today. He didn't start out as an entrepreneur. He didn't start out with all kinds of confidence. He didn't start out with a particularly high skill set. He started out with probably maybe less than average abilities when it comes to creating online businesses and creating a home-based business or becoming an entrepreneur. He really didn't have that much going for him. But one day, he set his attitude that I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make something of myself. I want to make my parents proud. And he learned from scratch. He learned how to do things, how to become an entrepreneur. And I'm sorry I'm messing with my headset here. Still trying to find that perfect sweet spot here for recording. But no, he had to learn. And, he just made up his mind that I'm going to take this gig here of becoming an entrepreneur and I'm going to make something of myself. And he formulated a plan. He stuck with that plan. He taught himself. He learned from others. And, I just love listening to his story because it's very inspirational. And to see where he's come today, having businesses that are worth, millions, I don't know how much, but probably multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, that's very inspirational considering that he started out from nothing and is now at a spot where he's a best-selling author. He's very knowledgeable. He can create a program, I think, if he wanted to address any kind of a need that he really sees in the world today. Another guy that I like to consider is Robert Kiyosaki. Again, a guy that started out kind of with the wrong attitude. But I think he started out at an earlier age in the entrepreneurial life than what Patrick Bet-David did, which is inspirational there too, because it kind of goes to show you can't be too young to learn this, and I don't think you can be too old to learn this either. It doesn't matter your age, as long as you have the determination that you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to learn, you're willing to adopt a new mindset and learn new skills. You can really learn to do this at any age. I don't know how old Patrick Bet-David was when he started thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. But I know Robert Kiyosaki. He was like a young kid, and he uh, got involved with a man, the dad of his friend that was an entrepreneur. He calls him his rich dad. And his rich dad started teaching him the basics of being an entrepreneur and the kind of mindset that you have to have in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. And Robert Kiyosaki started at a fairly young age and just uh, built from there. So you can start off young, you can start off old. As long as you got the right mindset, the right attitude, you can become a successful entrepreneur. But you have to be willing to work with it and accept defeat when defeat comes, and be willing to start over and just keep on going no matter what. Robert Kiyosaki, his first business was doing good at first. Then he found himself $1 million in debt. And, his rich dad said, congratulations, you're $1 million in debt. That's great. Now you get to figure out how you work your way out of $1 million of debt. And he did. I mean, it is doable. It is possible. Most of us can't imagine going $1 million into debt in the first place, let alone imagine how we are going to work our way out of $1 million in debt. But it is doable. You just have to start from wherever you're at, make a plan to get started, and then get started and keep going. Another entrepreneur that I find very inspirational is the old Kentucky Colonel, Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, also well known today mostly as KFC. But, back in the day, Harlan Sanders was a real flesh and blood man, not a cartoon character, not Reba McEntire. And he started out wanting to become, his own business, entrepreneur, owning his own business. And most of the businesses that he started in, as a matter of fact, I believe all of the businesses that he started in failed. And he kept right on going. I forget how many different businesses he had, but he finally made it big when he was about 58, 60, something like that. Probably about my age now, maybe a little bit older. And he had an idea for creating a fast food franchise restaurant serving fried chicken. And he had his secret recipe, his, 7 herbs and spices, or is it 11 herbs and spices? I get that confused sometimes. But he got his pots and pans, his secret recipe, all of his cooking material. He threw them in his car, and he went around the state trying to sell people on this franchise idea. And he'd go into their homes, he'd cook up the fried chicken, and he'd say, "Look, we can do this. We can build a restaurant, and we can serve fried chicken to everybody." And he built up that business, and that was the one business that he built that was a success, and it was a wild success. And the secret there that we can learn from the Kentucky Colonel is don't give up. I mean, he could have given up after his first failed business. He could have given up after his second failed business. His third, fourth failed business, most of us would have thrown in the towel at that point and probably just, if nothing else, gotten a job as a Walmart greeter. But no, he kept going on. Probably, maybe because Walmart hadn't been invented yet, but no, he kept going on. And finally, he hit on the idea for Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's been a success. So, overcoming the odds, planning for success, it can be done. So don't just look at the odds out there about how many online businesses fail compared to how many online businesses succeed. First, consider who you are, what skill set you have, what you want to do, what you really want to do, and then set your mind to do it, and surround yourself with positive, successful people that are going to, inspire you, help you along the way, give you good advice rather than just, bad advice, and encourage you to work a plan, to get a plan and work a plan. And that's what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of this broadcast, is how to form a basic plan for forming, your first home-based business, your first online business, whatever kind of business you want to develop, actually. How to develop a plan to get things going. But first, I'm going to adjust my headphone here, play some music by the Celtic Reggae Revolution, and we'll be back right after this song.
Positive people. Positive with light. Happier.
This life is always changing. Nothing stays the same. Life has got its beauty, but life has got its pain. Take the rough with the smooth and get into the groove. Nothing ever was sure, so you ain't got nothing to lose. No, positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Positive change. Happier.
Positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Happier.
There ain't no problem, there's only solutions. There ain't no problem, no. There ain't no problem, there's only solutions. There ain't no problems, no. Positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Positive change. Happier.
Positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Happier. Positive love.
There ain't no problems, there's only solutions. There ain't no problems, no. There ain't no problems, there's only solutions. There ain't no problems, no.
All right, this is Ralph back again, and we're talking about success in online business, home-based business, and how to make a plan for getting into your first business. Now, first of all, what I'm going to be doing in the coming days is just putting together a pre-planning checklist, things that I think are important for newcomers to online business or home-based business to consider before they just jump into anything. But part of that pre-planning checklist is going to include just sitting down and figuring out what it is that you are either qualified to do or would love to do. Hopefully something you are both qualified to do and you would love to do, or something that you would love to do and are willing to learn. And just ask yourself, okay, if it's something that you're already qualified to do, figure out a way, how can I do this online? And how can I sit down and just create my own business based around this particular skill set that I already have? And then, try to develop that skill set out further into taking it into the outer world around you. When I first got into online business and home-based business, I had what I thought was a pretty good skill set. I thought, I had previous experience as a senior pastor, professional pulpit minister in a brick-and-mortar church. And when I left that church, I thought, well, hey, we built a successful church. We took a church that already existed and we built it up. And I thought, why can't I do that on my own? Why can't I take that skill set of being a minister and take it online? And my first attitude was that I would get a blog, sit down, write the blog, put a donation button on that blog, and make a boatload of money. That was my plan. Didn't work because I confused my skill set in the real world with a skill set that I could make work online. In the real world, when you're a minister, you go into an already established brick-and-mortar church, you've got a very good support system out there helping you. You've got the elders of the church. You may not always agree with them. They may not always agree with you, but you've got that support system. You've got the elders of the church. You've got the pillars of the church. You've got this church secretary. You've got the church treasurer. You've got the deacons of the church. You've got the higher-ups in the church, in the magisterium, whatever your denomination tends to call that. But you've got a good support system already built into the church. Maybe not perfect, but it's a pretty good support system that is going to make sure that you've got a roof over your head and that you get paid as long as you got people in that church every Sunday morning. Now, when you're out there in the cold, cruel world, whether it's face-to-face or online, and you're just trying to start a church, a ministry, an outreach, a fellowship, trying to start that from scratch with no structure, with no elders there to help you, with no deacons out there, no higher-ups to guide you. You're just out there like a prophet crying in the wilderness. Make way the highway, make straight the path. It's a lot harder. That's why John the Baptist wore camel skins, camel hair, and ate locusts and wild honey. He couldn't afford a house. He couldn't afford good food. He had to live off the land. He was a starry-eyed prophet. And, he was a darn good one, but, I wouldn't really class him as an entrepreneur. And yet that's what I thought I could do with, my ministerial skills. And, my mindset at that time was, hey, who needs money? Who needs a church? Who needs, we can do church in a blog. That was my first idea, church in a blog. And I really didn't have a very realistic understanding of how I could make that dream work. And so I didn't entirely give up on that dream. We did make it work eventually. We've got, our own spiritual fellowship that we do. We've worked through, third-party supports, third-party partners that have really helped us out in getting into a non-denominational ministry. I wouldn't really call it a church, but it is definitely a ministry where we help guide people, coach people, do spiritual counseling, do mostly love and relationships counseling and interpersonal relationships, but, do coaching, spiritual coaching. And we have made that work. But, it took me a few years to figure out that when you're on your own, trying to build your own business, even a spiritual business, you have to expand on your skill sets. So if you're a plumber and you're working for a plumbing company and you want to think about taking your business private, don't just think that you can fire your boss and then go out there in the cold, cruel world of plumbing and be able to drum up enough customers to really make it work and become a huge success in the world of plumbing. It is possible to do that, but you have to make plans. You have to start growing your business before you fire your boss. And that's the mistake that I've made a few times along the line. I was in such a hurry to fire my boss and get out of a dead-end job that I burned my bridges behind me too soon. I don't think you should really burn your bridges behind you as a general rule of thumb, but, definitely you want to make sure that your home-based business, any kind of business that you're wanting to create for yourself, you need to make sure that it is sustainable and that it can support you before you fire your boss and walk away from a full-time job or a couple of part-time jobs that may not be perfect, but at least they're paying the bills. So one thing that I would suggest for a pre-planning checklist is to sit down, figure out, okay, what do you want to do? How can you monetize it? And also figure out, okay, how long am I willing to give this? How long am I willing to go ahead and build this business up until it becomes, profitable? And am I willing to work my personal business, my own business, as a part-time gig, a part-time job, while I'm working a full-time job for somebody else? For those of you who already have a job, don't do like I did. Don't walk away from it and think you're going to start a blog and be able to make money. There's a lot more to it than just that. Keep your job. Don't fire your boss. But sit down in your spare time and figure out what you want to build a business doing, and then plan to build that business and be actively building that business while you're working full-time for somebody else. Be working a full-time job while you're also working part-time to build your dream is the way that Eric Worre put it in one of his talks. And I think that's a very good advice. Be willing to work full-time for somebody else while you're working part-time to build your dream. That's a very good way to look at it. But yeah, you've got to put a lot of work into this. That's why so many people get into an online business and then quit, because they think this is going to be so darned easy. This is going to be like I said in a previous broadcast, this is going to be like falling off of a log. If you can fall off a log, you can make money. That's the thinking that, some people have in their head, because that's some unscrupulous entrepreneurs plant that seed in their brains. This is just going to be so darned easy. And the basic concept of being an entrepreneur is pretty simple. You bring something of value into the world, and the world gives you something of value in exchange. Very simple concept. But when you try to work it out in the real world, it's not that simple. It's you figure it out as you go. And with guidance, with the right program, with the right, like, yes. But you have to work to make it work. And that's the message that I really want to leave you with here. But yeah, be willing to sit down and plan, how long am I going to give this? And then what am I going to do to pay the bills while I'm also building up my business? Now, for those of you who already have full-time jobs, or at least a part-time job, you've got some money coming in. And now sit down and figure out what kind of a business you can build on the side while at the same time working your job. And one plan that you might work is to work your full-time job or part-time job, do your 9 to 5 from 9 to 5, and then after that, when you get back home, instead of spending 2 or 3 hours watching Netflix or TV, spend that time in study. If you're in a business program that you like, a business program that has all kinds of training, something I would highly recommend. There's a lot of good programs out there, but you need to find a good business program that has training, that's going to teach you, that's going to help you develop some good skill sets. Spend time in the evening studying your business and just learn it. Instead of spending a couple hours watching TV, do your homework. Study, build up yourself. Invest in yourself by way of this training. And then go to bed, sleep, get back up the next day, do the whole thing over again. And then if you work like Monday through Friday, you got the weekends free, spend the weekends building up your own home-based business. And stick to that schedule. Once you get the training part out of the way, if you're working with a business opportunity that comes with training, once you get through that introductory training, still spend time on your training. Yes, you need to be spending a little bit of time every day, improving yourself, studying something, learning new skills, seeing where the markets are going, seeing what skills you need to be developing within yourself to keep up with these market changes. And then once you get to that point where you've got the basics, then maybe on your 9 to 5 job, if you get a lunch hour, instead of just eating lunch, have a snack, have a little bit of lunch, but spend a little bit of time social media marketing. Whip out your smartphone, your cell phone, and see if you can talk your business up on Facebook or LinkedIn and do it properly. And just take inventory of all the time that you have in a day. Because when you're working a full-time job and trying to build your dream on the side, you've got to make productive use of every minute of every day. You can't just sit around and dream and expect those dreams to become reality. You have to start working to build those dreams. So if you got doesn't even have to be that long, maybe 20 minutes on your lunch hour that you can spare. If you get a full lunch hour, take a half hour to eat and another half hour to, do your social media marketing on Facebook or LinkedIn. Put that smartphone of yours to use. Do more with it than just watching cat gifs. And you can work it that way. And then in the evening, spend another hour doing social media marketing or whatever else you need to do in your business. And then after that, maybe you can spend an hour watching Netflix and chilling out. But be willing and able to give your business the time that it needs to grow. Don't have the mindset that you're going to be a 1-week wonder. That's having the mindset that I'm going to give this 1 week and I'm going to see if this business works. And if I'm not making a whole lot of money in 1 week, I'm going to quit this business and just move on to something else. That attitude right there is why so many online businesses fail, is that folks get started in it, they get all excited about it, and then they figure, okay, if I'm not making a lot of money within a week, I'm not going to stick with it. And they don't give it a fair shake. They don't really give it enough time to really test it out and see if this is for them. When you're starting a new business, and I don't really care what kind of business it is, you need to be willing to give it, more than a week, more than a month, I would say at least a year. Now, some mentors that I listen to, Robert Kiyosaki, he says, have a 5-year plan. Give it a good 5 years of your life. So when you're doing your pre-planning, figuring out what kind of a business you want to get into, figure out what kind of a business that you are willing to give 5 years of your life to. And, of course, over that 5-year span, you're going to have to make some changes, make adjustment. Things change in the real world, and things change pretty fast online, too. And entrepreneurs, we have to keep up with those changes. But figure out what is there out there, or what am I willing to create that I can give 5 years of my life to make it work. And, that's with our first business. I started about 2007 with the idea of Church in a Blog. Actually, I think I started that in 2006. I wonder if it's still online. I don't know. But I dropped that idea, and we went in a different direction. But we still wanted to do some sort of a spiritual business where we could be giving spiritual help, spiritual guidance to people. And we really didn't have it take off. It took about 4 years for that business to take off. Now, I tried another business that worked out pretty darned well. I got that off in just a single season. It was lawn mowing for people that needed help around the house, and hiring myself out as a handyman doing odd jobs. And that was part of my plan too. And if this is something I'd like to leave you with here today as well. If you don't have a full-time job, or you don't have a part-time job, is there something that you can do to raise money while you're building your business? Maybe not something that you want to give 5 years of your life to, but just something that you can make money with rather quickly while you're building your online business and getting that to grow and growing that to the point where it can support you rather than you supporting it. And for me, I figured out it was in the spring that I started needing some money. So I thought, okay, let's hang out some signs, for lawn care, and see if I can get some jobs mowing lawn. And in that first month, I was able to line up enough lawn care jobs to really keep us going. And that kept me at home working while I was working something else, while I was also building up our online business. So you have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible. You also have to be determined to be able to stick with building your dream no matter how long it takes. And don't enter into an online business with the attitude that if this isn't supporting me in 30 days, I'm out of here. Sometimes you might be able to build up a business in that time frame, but most of the people that I've seen, most of the people that I listen to, counsel you to give it at least a year or 5 years, or even Patrick Bet-David, he says have a 10-year plan. I mean, he's really conservative on that level. But just plan out. Okay, if you got money to invest in getting into a business, great. It's an old truism that it takes money to make money. But if you can buy your way into a good business, that's great too. Just make sure that it's a legit business and that's something that you're going to be interested in, something that you are going to want to build into your full-time dream job. If it's something that you hate, don't waste your time or money getting into it, would be my advice. Find something that you love and something that you can monetize, and then give it everything you've got to make it work, to create it. And make sure you got at least some part-time jobs, part-time gigs on the side that can be making you money while you are building your dream. So, yeah, that's about it for that part of the pre-planning list. It takes determination to create your own independent job, to become your own person, to get into this entrepreneurial field. It takes all kinds of determination. Some people might say it takes a certain level of brain damage too. Entrepreneurs are very, very, shall we say, different people. I forget who said it, but read it online. An entrepreneur is the kind of a person who will jump off of a cliff and build an airplane on the way down. That's pretty much the mindset you need to have, because we're faced with all kinds of problems. We have to figure out the solution. And sometimes we have to figure out that solution on the fly, on the go, as it were. But make a plan before you jump off that cliff of entrepreneurship. It takes a pretty good skill set to get started. But the good news is that these skill sets can be learned. And the good business opportunities that are out there that have been around for a few years, they come with that training. They come with the things that you're going to need to learn certain skill sets. So if you're buying into a business opportunity, and there are a lot out there, some you can get started in for, $7, $50 a month, $60 a month. Make sure that you avail yourself of the training that they come with. Don't just take it and think, well, I don't need to take any classes. I'm going to make this work all on my own because I want to be my own boss. Being your own boss is great. But when you are your own boss and you find your boss is incompetent, you got a problem and you need to fix that problem. Training is the way to fix that problem. So avail yourself of all the training you can find out there. Invest in yourself by getting the training that you need, and then focus on being your own boss. It's a process of growth. We have to grow into this. I don't think anybody is really born an entrepreneur. There may be some special people out there who are, but most of us in this field, we had to learn, we had to grow, we had to adapt, and we became entrepreneurs slowly over time. And that's the advice that I'm going to leave you with right now is give yourself the time to learn. Be patient with yourself. Don't give up when you hit your first roadblock, when you hit your first problem. Stay with it. Find the problem. Figure out a business that you can stick with. Not everybody can afford a business that's going to cost them, a few $1,000s to get into, or maybe a couple $100 a month to stay with. Find a business that you can stick with for at least 5 years, and then give yourself the time that you need to learn that business, to grow in that business, and to become successful in that business. Again, starting a home-based business is like planting a vineyard. You don't plant the grapevines 1 month and expect to be harvesting grapes the next month. A vineyard takes years for those grapes to start coming on the vines. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, sticking with it season after season, and then finally those grapes come. Treat yourself the same way. Nurture yourself, nurture your business, grow with your business, and then, in due season, those grapes will come. That's all for now. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Like, share, subscribe, as they say on YouTube. And if you want to catch me online, see what kind of businesses I am in, if you'd like to partner up with me in anything that I'm in, you can catch me online at www.growwithralph.com. That is www.growwithralph.com. This is Ralph signing out. Catch you in the next broadcast on Monday. Till then, have a great weekend. Take care. Wishing you all kinds of success in building up your own home-based business or online business and building the dream of your choice, not somebody else's. Thanks again.